Welcome
Hello.
back. Welcome to the bookcase. We do not have an intro.
Hi.
We have read some books.
We have.
Well, you have read some books. I have not read some books. There's a reason there's been no videos since my quarter one wrap-up, and it's because I have not read any books since my quarter one wrap-up. You've read books.
I have.
And I've read manga. So we are going to do a little update for you today. We are going to talk about the things that we have read from our 5 for 25 lists. We've already done one video like this where we talked about Batman the Long Halloween, which you wanted me to read. We were going to do a standalone video right after you finished Legendborn, and now it's been 3 months. And we haven't done that, so we're just going to throw all of them together. I am going to talk about Akane-Banashi, you are going to talk about Legendborn, and also...
This is how we lose the time war.
This is how you lose the time war. I don't know why I always say we. That's my fault, and I've infected you with it. I'm sorry.
Because we lose.
There will be massive spoilers for all of these throughout. So big spoiler warning for the first 8 arcs of Akane-Banashi, for Legendborn, and for This Is How You Lose the Time War, which this book especially, you want to read this blind. You want to go into this not knowing very much. Just know that it is a sci-fi time travel love story, and don't know anything else. So if you haven't read this book, read it. We'll talk about it later.
So, Legendborn. Let's get started. You recommended this to me. This was
did.
From your 5 for 25 for me to read. You had already read it. I
Yes.
just read it this year.
I have read it twice. I read it once in 2022 and once in 2024. So it's been a little minute. It's been a minute, and neither of us have read past this. So there will not be spoilers for Bloodmarked or Oathbound. We have only read Legendborn, and we are only talking about Legendborn.
So, in Legendborn, our main character, Bree, depicted lovingly on this cover. Bree is in a bit of a rough place. Her mother just recently died, and she is now going off to not college. Like a college preparatory program for, like, high school age students who want to, like, get ahead a
Get
little
their
bit.
dual credits, basically.
Bree is going off to this program at this school,
UNC Chapel Hill.
and Bree goes to a party on a lark, and the party gets crashed by spooky demon monsters.
Oh, no!
And
Magic.
Bree and all the other party goers are mesmered by one of the mysterious figures there. Bree is, like, under the mesmer spell and breaks the spell, which we learned she's not supposed to be able to do. You're not supposed to be able to do that. Bree realizes, hang on a minute, this feeling I have
Of having my
of
memory.
having my memory suppressed, I have the same feeling about my memories of the officer talking to us on the night that my mom died. Bree learns that, these people who are fighting these demons are all part of a lodge that's based on campus, and Bree decides, with the help of Golden Retriever Boy, Nick, who is sort of a cast-off son, we'll say, of the Legendborn sort of community there. She's going to infiltrate the Legendborn community and try to figure out the truth behind what happened to her mother.
So this book is both very familiar, I think. If you read a lot of YA fantasy, it is nestled very comfortably within the tropes of that genre. We've got our outsider to the magical world who then learns about the magical world. We have our trials to participate in the magical world. We have the discovery that I have more connection and power in this magical world than I previously would have thought. You know, we've all seen these types of stories. But it's also done in, like, a very fresh way that I really appreciate, and not just because of the race of the main character and the author, although that is a big part of it, but just the way that this book is kind of picking apart the genre tropes,
Yeah.
almost. It's like, why is this how this is always done? What powers are in place that cause this to always be the way it's done? It is both a very good example of the genre and a very good dissection of the genre.
I don't read as much YA as I used to, but this was really strong for a YA book.
Mm-hmm.
I say for a YA book, but I just mean it was really strong in general.
Yeah.
Good
I
first
will book in a series.
continue reading the series at some point, for sure.
Yes.
It's a very good first book. There's a lot of, like you were saying, there's a lot of pitfalls that YA books fall into. To me, one of the big ones is just the fact that a lot of times the YA protagonist is just there, and their reason for participating in the magical world is because they want to be in the magical world. And this book does a very good job just establishing motivation and giving Bree a specific reason that she is willing to throw herself into danger. She wants something more than she wants to live.
One of the things that I really like about this is how it is using its setting and its genre conventions to really dig deep into some themes, which is why I think that this will definitely stand the test of time, the way that Percy Jackson
Yes.
has, the way that other like classic YA fantasy series have done, because it is doing what I think genre fiction is best at, which is using genre to explore real world problems.
This book does a really good job just using its setting and its character and expressing through what that character goes through. Just sort of the mundane reality of racism and the little things that just add up. It's not always going to be a character from a Stephen King book who's going to yell a slur at you.
Although sometimes it will be.
Sometimes it will be. Sometimes...
And we do get some of that in this
Yes.
book, especially towards the end.
Mostly it's just tiny things in the way people talk to you and the way people treat you and the assumptions people make about your intelligence and your character. This book does a really good job just... It does a good job making that real and showing how exhausting it is.
Yeah. It pulls a lot of reality into the setting, which really makes it feel very real and lived in. And it's also, again, I think part of how the book is so able to discuss real world problems because it's in the real world.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's demons in Arthurian legend and knights are reincarnated into the bodies of their descendants, but it's also the real world with the real transatlantic slave trade and the real Civil War and the real Revolutionary War. Like, this is not second world fantasy. Like, this is our world.
Yeah,
just
it's a
with
real
some
world
magic on top.
with real people living in it. You know, let's talk about those people.
Let's talk about those people. Let's talk about the characters. So you've got our main character.
We've got Bree.
And then...
We have Nick, golden retriever of a boy.
Sweet
just
little boy.
Absolute golden child. Just
Golden hair, golden child, golden retriever personality. Definitely.
We'll follow you to the ends of the earth and we'll love you forever. So loyal, so good, we stand.
Sweet little child.
He would never do war crimes. Maybe we'll develop into war crimes.
Let's hope we don't.
And then we have our edgy alley cat boy, Selwyn Kane.
The classic YA love triangle dichotomy. Golden
Yes.
retriever boy. I love how you call him alley cat. I've never heard it described that way. That's so funny. The alley cat boy. He will hiss at you if you get too close. He will insult you at every turn. He will spend half of the book trying to actually kill you. But he's also a sweet boy. He just expresses it differently.
Selwyn is one of those characters.
He's not sweet, but he is more three-dimensional than his tropes would suggest.
The story does a good job making you think that Selwyn sucks right at the beginning, because he kind of does.
He does. Let's be
And
so for real, he does.
then gradually making you sympathetic towards him because he's kind of in circumstances where, like, he has no choice but to suck. Like,
he is a victim of the institution as much as anybody else in the institution.
Absolutely.
Like,
maybe more so.
One of the things that is really apparent throughout the whole Legendborn system is how, regardless of how much privilege you have, the system will still exploit you. It exploits people with less privilege more, like Selwyn, like Bree, and just like anybody who doesn't have magic. But the system also exploits its own members, particularly its children. Like, it is exploiting the youth of these people. Like, when you become a scion and, like, you actually get that call and you have that, like, you are resigning.
You get superpowers and you will die.
And you will die.
At the latest, in your early 30s.
Yeah, it steals the life away from you. And you're just kind of, brainwashing is maybe a strong word, but you are conditioned, culturally conditioned, to be okay with that.
And all that said, because I really like the characters here, I'm interested to see where they go. I understand you had some things you wanted to bring up to me.
Yes. How did you feel when Bree was called as the Scion of Arthur?
I thought that was a neat twist. Because it was kind of telegraphed. Now, it could have been telegraphed better. I think it was a little bit muddled, but once everything clicked into place, it had enough integrity that I liked it.
And I think the reason it's not really telegraphed super clearly is sometimes there's a twist that you read that when you read the book the second time, you can see all of the lines leading to that. And that's what you want to do as an author. I do think that when you read the book the second time, it doesn't make less sense or more sense already knowing that she is the Scion of Arthur. It just, I truly feel it was really meant to just be like, not out of nowhere in a bad way, but out of nowhere in a, oh, you thought you understood how this worked? Well, think again.
The only thing that's a little bit, like, I won't say bad, but just kind of, like, convoluted and maybe a little convenient, is the fact that Nick is also conveniently
the Scion of
Lancelot.
The ancestry, it is convenient, but in the most technical sense. But Arthurian legend is that messy, and I kind of get, I'm bringing up Percy Jackson again, but one of the themes of Percy Jackson is that the gods repeat themselves. The same myths play out over and over again throughout history. These same tropes appear over and over throughout history. And kind of the same thing is happening here, where it's like the same dynamics and the same families have made the same mistakes generation after generation. Right. And the way that Bree has ended up becoming the Scion of Arthur is the same way that Arthur's round table fell apart in the first place, and it's because Lancelot and Guinevere and Arthur are just that messy.
This really leads me to my one thing I have against this book, which is that the cast has way too many darn characters.
There are quite a few extraneous side characters, for sure. And
this is mostly relevant in the last set piece, because we have a little betrayal plot going on where, it turns out this character was a traitor.
I said, I want to bring up the two twists. And you said, the Bree is Arthur and the betrayal. And I thought by betrayal, you meant Nick's dad. And I was like, Nick's dad's betrayal is a minor twist, but I wouldn't call it a big twist. I think it's the best telegraphed twist. It is the most thematically appropriate twist. It's hardly a twist. What a surprise. The big white man in charge isn't up on the up and up. But you were talking about that kid who was a demon the whole time, who I straight up forgot about.
Like, I was literally reading it, and it was like, he's a demon. And I'm like, who?
Who? I don't remember his name.
But that's really my only big problem with it. There's a lot of background characters in Legendborn, and not nearly enough focus to go around.
Yeah. She has kind of her gaggle of misfits that she's close with among the other pages. I definitely think, I hope we get more of the side characters
Yes.
in the other books.
There's some of them I really like.
Yeah.
I think, to summarize just sort of my thoughts on Legendborn, this is a book which is really good when it's focused. Mm-hmm. And I would say it's focused for about 85 to 90% of the time. Mm-hmm. And the other 10 to 15% of the time, it's all right.
Yeah.
But that means most of the book is really good.
Yeah. I think I gave it 5 stars both times I read it.
Yeah. I would say if someone is in the mood for a young adult novel, or if they have a young person in their life who they're trying to get back into reading, and maybe that person likes anime bullcrap, this is a good choice. This is a good book.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. Thank you for recommending it.
Next book is not a book. Next book is manga. And I'm going to try not to repeat myself too much, because if you watched our last video, my Q1 wrap-up, I did talk about the first 4 volumes of Akane-Banashi a little bit in that. But you asked me to read Akane-Banashi all the way up through the Shikisai Festival arc.
Yes.
Because you particularly wanted me to read the Zenza Rensekai arc, and then the Shikisai Festival is a kind of the nice narrative cap on top of that arc. So that's the first 8 arcs, which is, I think, 75-ish chapters, give or take. Volumes, it takes place in volumes 1 through 9. The last couple chapters of volume 9 set up the next arc. I don't even remember the name of that arc. I read them...
Chocho.
Chocho. I read them very late at night. So I don't really remember anything that happens after the Shikisai. I don't remember the start of the next arc, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Akane-Banashi is a manga about a girl named Akane. The story starts when she's in her last year of high school, and then just kind of goes chronologically from there. And she is doing her best to become a rakugo performer, a rakugoka. Rakugo is a form of Japanese theater where it is one person on stage, sitting on stage in a kimono with a fan, and they tell a story entirely through just their narration, the fan, and like hand motions as props and miming, and they will use like facial expression and posture to convey different characters. It's a one-man show. Akane's father was a rakugoka when she was little, and he was trying to achieve the next rank of performer. If you're a professional rakugoka, there are different ranks of performance, like basically like amateur to super high master. And he was trying to reach the next rank, and at that event where he was basically auditioning to become the next rank of master, the head of his school, not his personal teacher, but the head of his school, Isho Arakawa.
Yes.
He basically got up at the end of that performance and expelled every performer, including Akane's father. He said, "You all are terrible. You all are a shame to the Rakugo art, and I don't want any of you in this school anymore. You're all expelled." And that kind of destroyed his Rakugo career. The others went off to join other schools. Like, you can do that. If you get expelled from a Rakugo school, you can go to another one. But Akane's dad didn't. That was kind of his, like, last-ditch effort to try to make it. And he basically says, okay, this dream is over. I'm going to get a normal person job and just support my family that way. But Akane is, like, 9, 10 when that happens. And she loves her dad's Rakugo, and she is incensed, and she basically the next day knocks on her dad's teacher's door and is like, "Please train me. I want to be a Rakugoka. I am going to prove to the world that my dad's Rakugo was great and that Isho Arakawa was wrong." And so this is the story of Akane learning to be a Rakugoka. Banashi means story. So Akane-Banashi, it's Akane's story. I really enjoy this story. I love Akane as a main character. The Karaku Cup arc is, I think, my favorite arc of manga that I've ever read. It is the volume that has the Karaku Cup in it is the only volume of manga that I've rated 5 stars. Every other manga volume that I've read this year, and I've read Akane-Banashi, I've read Sakamoto Days, and I've read some Kobe Can't Communicate.
Was the Karaku Cup, was that the amateur competition?
That was the amateur competition.
Gotcha.
The Karaku Cup arc is the only section of manga that I've rated 5 stars. Everything else I have been reading 4 to 4.5, but that I gave 5 stars. I thought that was excellently done. What I'm curious to know is why... I know kind of why you recommended this story to me, and you can talk about that a bit, but why specifically the Zenza Rensekai arc?
The first and boring reason is because it's a good, like... I have a feeling when it gets adapted to an anime, a season will end there. But
that is a good season 1 ending, yes.
Secondly, I really like that arc. I feel like it's a really good distillation of what the story is capable of and what its appeal is. And in particular, I really like Akane's personal arc as she is readying her performance and then performs for that competition, because it does a really good job communicating both her personal flourishes as a performer, but also her coming to understand her father's art. And that's what I really like about Akane-Banashi. Akane-Banashi is a story that I wish we had more of, which is stories about performing arts where the performance is the story. In so many things, it'll be like, oh, we're going to put on a play. And the story's all about all of the hijinks that happen before they manage to get the play put together.
And then the play is like 2 panels.
And then the play happens.
And then it's over.
Maybe we get a musical number. I really like stuff like Akane-Banashi because, like, a performance gets multiple chapters dedicated to it.
Yes.
And I like the ways that we go in depth. Manga's a really great medium for this because it gives you really tight control over the framing of time.
Yes.
And to get inside of a character's head. And this one, Akane-Banashi started all right, but it got really good around the Karaku Cup.
The Karaku Cup is so good.
Where it, like, got great. Akane-Banashi managed to hit that Shonen Jump appeal.
Yes.
Even though I think Tenmaku Cinema was better, Akane-Banashi managed to, like, connect to the Shonen Jump audience.
And it is very shonen. Like, if you're not familiar with, like, manga or anime terms, and you're like, oh, what do you mean by it's very shonen? If you think stereotypical anime, you're probably thinking of shonen. Unless you're thinking of Sailor Moon. Which is kind of just the girl version of shonen anyway. Shonen Jump magazine is a manga magazine. They publish chapters of manga, and My Hero Academia is shonen. Dragon Ball is shonen. Bleach is shonen. Any classic, any, like, popular thing you can think of. Demon Slayer, One Piece, Naruto. These are all shonen. And you don't have to hit these tropes to publish your manga in Shonen Jump, but if you're not hitting certain tropes and you're publishing in Shonen Jump, you might not run very long. There are certain arcs, there are certain character types, there are certain tropes that appear in most shonen stories. And most people, when you think of shonen, you think of battle. You think of Dragon Ball, you think of Bleach, you think of My Hero. It's fighting. But there is also the same type of formula and story applied to non-battle things. We call that non-battle battle anime or non-battle shonen.
That's
mostly sports.
I want to say
I think Jeff Thu came up with that. It's basically, most shonen is in some way or another about competition. It's either about martial arts competition, superheroes, it's about, sports. Food battle is not food battle. What's that one called? Food battle
Food
is
Wars.
Food Wars. Food battle is a Smosh show, but Food Wars is.
By the
shonen,
way,
right?
Food Wars author, same guy who wrote Tenmaku Cinema.
Oh, I didn't know that. but Food Wars is shonen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Shonen is interested in stories about competition, and the way that gets applied to less high-octane competition can be really interesting, because make no mistake, Akane-Banashi is about competition. Like, she is constantly competing with both herself and then with other kind of people on her level in an attempt to become the best. Because that's really, it's not even about competition. Shonen is about your protagonist becoming the best that they possibly can at the niche thing that they are trying to be the best at.
Akane-Banashi has a lot more in common with something like Haikyuu than it does with something like Naruto.
Yeah, it is a story about becoming a better performer. And the thing that I really like about the quieter arcs, because you've got arcs that are focused on Akane learning a new story to tell on stage, because there's a set amount of stories that exist in Rakugo, and new ones don't get added to the canon very often. So as a Rakugoka, you need to learn these stories. So there's arcs that are focused around her learning a new story, and then there's arcs that are focused around her performing. But then there's all these other little side bits where she has to learn to be a better, more thoughtful performer in different ways. And that goes in various different things from the very first time that, the first of her mentor figures at the Arakawa school, he makes her go wait tables for 2 weeks, because he's like, you need to learn how to listen to people, and you need to learn how to anticipate what people want, because a good performer is going to be able to read their audience and read what they're in the mood for and anticipate their needs and then deliver on that. And just lots of little things like that. And I really enjoy how this manga picks apart and displays the process of personal growth.
To me, and this is really my last thing, the thing that really cinches Akane-Banashi at its best for me, in the build-up to the Zenza Rensekai, she's talking with her senpai, basically, Makeru. And because she wants to learn a new story.
Yes, right. And Makeru specifically actually he was a apprentice when her dad was in the school, so he knows her dad.
Yes.
And he knows her dad's Rakugo.
And he says, I've got 3 options of stories that I'll teach you, and I'll only teach one of them, and whichever one you pick, you need to perform that one. The first story is one that I think goes really well with your style as a performer, with your nin, he calls it, I think.
Yes, which he made up. That's not a real thing.
Yes. Basically, a story that matches her energy. And he says, this is a story that lends itself to your particular strengths and shows off your skills the best. The second story is one that I don't think is going to go particularly well with your energy, with your nin, but it is a crowd pleaser and
you'll
one
probably win the competition with
that
it.
would work really well for this competition.
Yes, because the Zenza Rensekai is a competition that she is entering to try and earn a placement at a professional event, and it is judged both by masters, but also by the audience.
Yes.
The audience vote counts. So the potential of performing a crowd pleaser would kind of be a surefire way to ensure that she gets that spot.
And then the third story he offers, he says, the third story matches neither your energy nor the audience. It is not a story which lends itself to your strengths, nor is it one that I think the audience would very much enjoy. but it is a story that your father taught me.
And not only is it a story that her father taught her senpai, it is also a story that her father performed at his Zenza Rensekai, and he won with that story. He was promoted after, like, he got the spot at the Renza Zensekai.
And I really love that conversation, and I love how Akane doesn't even think about the competition or about how this is going to reflect her. She wants to understand her father and his performance better. So she immediately chooses that one and doesn't look back.
We don't even get, like, a couple panels of her considering. It's just, like, a panel of silence and then a panel of, teach me my dad's Rakugo. It's just immediate. Akane wanted to understand her dad's Rakugo. And what she ends up coming to the conclusion of is that it wasn't really, quote-unquote, correct. Specifically, the word that is used is weak. There's a lot of, like, expectation of how Rakugo should be performed, and he's not hitting those expectations. But that doesn't mean that it's bad art. It means that it's a very personal art to him, and his personal style has value to it. What she kind of means, I think, by my dad was a weak man is not that he was a bad man or that he was a bad performer, and she is not saying his Rakugo was bad. What she's saying is, like, she's met so many characters, we've seen so many different masters with different approaches, we've seen characters like ex-salaryman guy or voice actor girl, who I love dearly, I love her so much.
She's so catty.
Hikaru is great. And then, like, other masters and things, we've all seen their motivation for why they are doing this. And what Akane kind of realizes is that her father's motivations were not as strong as theirs. And that also his just style of performance and the way he approaches it is not very stereotypical, which in such a traditional art form did kind of hold him back a little bit. But she then turns that around and is like, but must a man be strong? Does a man have to be strong to be good? Does Rakugo have to be strong to be good? His weakness was a strength in his art. And she basically affirms, I am going to take what I learned about that about my dad's Rakugo. I'm going to take that, incorporate that into my style, and again fulfill her ultimate goal, which is to prove Isho Arakawa wrong. She wants him to regret what he did, basically. Not like be like, oh, woe is me, I made such a mistake, but she wants to prove to him, you were wrong to assume...
To overlook my father.
You were wrong to overlook my father. You were wrong about my father's Rakugo. Just because it's not perfectly traditional doesn't mean it doesn't have value.
But yeah, I really like Akane-Banashi.
Yes.
I haven't read it in a while. I need to catch up. I'm waiting for the manga to get a little bit ahead so I can binge a bunch of chapters.
Yes. I still have not given any other part of Akane-Banashi 5 stars. I would say I give the Zenza Rensekai arc 4.5 stars. And then the stuff that was between the Karaku Cup and the Zenza Rensekai arc, 4 stars. I think the Karaku Cup arc... I think character-wise, the stuff happening in the Zenza Rensekai
all
is
of the
better.
diversity in the Karaku Cup.
The Karaku Cup arc, it's just... There's something about the pacing and the dramatic tension of the Karaku Cup arc that really just elevated that for me. But yeah, good manga. If you're not really into manga, this is a good starting point, I think, because it's not about martial arts, it's not about sports, it's not about saving the world from bloodthirsty demons. It is about a high school girl who then is like a young adult in the world doing her best to achieve her dreams, which again is kind of what all shonen is about, but it is a very grounded story because her dream, it's basically like reading a book about somebody who really wants to be a principal violinist. Like, it's that type of vibe. Like, it's very approachable, and also you learn a lot about Rakugo, which is cool. Traditional Japanese art form.
Check it out. It's really fun.
Yeah.
So our final book.
So shifting gears completely now.
This is How You Lose the Time War. Also recommended to me by you.
Yes, you read this in one afternoon.
Oh yeah.
I also read it in one
afternoon. It's a short read. This is How You Lose the Time War.
Again, please go into this book blind. If you have not read the other things we've talked about and you're like, I don't mind hearing spoilers before I read something, if you are even slightly interested in reading this book, go in with the only thing that you know about it being that it is a time travel love story. That's it.
This is How You Lose the Time War. In short, I really liked it.
I'm so glad.
I mean, I was the one who bought it, and then you read
yeah,
it. Right?
you bought it. You bought this book. Remember when it went viral on Twitter and then Book Talk afterwards? You bought it around that time, like a year after that.
I bought it because I saw that Man Carrying Thing read it and endorsed it and really liked it. And I saw that it was short, and I went, that sounds interesting. So I ordered a copy, and I never got around to it.
And I did.
But it's really good.
Oh, it's so good. I really need to reread it. It is... You say it's confusing. I don't know if this is just because I really love time travel. I didn't find it super confusing. It is very had he forgotten to krill.
Garloon awoke from settering with a start. Had he forgotten to krill? Surely not. The vibrations from his drit unnerved him. No, I won't tell you what that is.
Well, it doesn't make sense yet, but I'm sure it will soon.
I think what makes it confusing for me in the first several chapters, they're not just time travelers. Mm-hmm. They're time traveling shapeshifters who can basically be whatever the heck they want to be.
Yeah.
And it's kind of really what makes it confusing is the way the setting changes. And how, like, at the start of every chapter, you're trying to get a grasp for when the heck are we now.
That makes sense.
And that's what makes it a little bit difficult to pick up. Mm-hmm. As you start getting the vibe of it, it starts becoming more, more understandable.
And that's the thing. If the thing about books that are had he forgotten to krill is sometimes that's bad. Surely not. Sometimes that's bad world building because then they kind of never explain it. They also kind of never explain it in this either, but that's because they don't need to, because it's not what it's about. And that's the thing. If you're a person who needs all of the answers, you might struggle with this book more. But as soon as you realize, and I realized by like halfway through chapter 2 or 3, I think, I was like, oh, it does not matter how this works. That doesn't matter at all. Okay, cool. Strap in. Like, and the sooner that you accept that this is a thematic character exploration and not a handbook on how to win a time war, the better experience that you will have with it, I think.
Technically, you'd think it would be a handbook on how to lose the time war, but...
You get more and more snippets and pieces of how the world works the longer that the book goes on and the more that you spend time with Red and Blue. But it's really more about who Red and Blue are as people, why they admire one another and then grow to care for one another.
I would describe this as an eldritch love story in some ways. Because Red and Blue are not anywhere close to human. Mm-hmm. They have some things that I would identify as human emotions, but in particular, because I've told you about this before, but I like this idea of sort of philosophically exploring, does time travel make you less human? In the regard of, does traveling through time, seeing different eventualities, seeing futures come into being then fade away, does that diminish your connection to those eventualities?
Does it diminish your connection to just the normal human experience?
And we see in the way that both Red and Blue, even though they have little ways that they enjoy they find little things to enjoy in their travels as agents. But they don't really view the lives of anyone they meet with true value. Even though, like, I think Blue is the one who says, I've fallen in love before. I have had husbands. I've had partners. And that's not something that Red is particularly concerned about. Because their whole existence as agents is to be imposters.
Yes.
And they have, like, this kind of strange relationship. They call it going upstream and downstream. But,
the way that time is visualized in this book, I think, is really cool.
They talk about how when you're an agent operating this long, spending so much time upstream, it's kind of hard to relate to the other people who are downstream, who spend most of their time there. And it's kind of things like, oh, in this culture, everybody thinks that eating is gross. And the way that it's described, like, they describe it in a way that, like, well, when you clinically break down what is happening, that is really kind of gross. But then, like, they go on to say, agents like us, we, almost by necessity, we just kind of develop an affinity for it. We learn to enjoy things.
And then they think we're weird, but, like...
And then they think we're weird, because we're like, hey, I'm gonna eat glass.
Red, please. Red. Stop eating that, Red. Red!
I think Blue was the one who ate glass.
Was it?
I think Blue was the one who's like, I love eating. I love eating all kinds of things. Berries, nuts, rocks.
Red is definitely the one who ate all the stuff that normally you shouldn't eat, though.
Right.
Speaking of whether a seeker can. It is funny, because I forgot that the term used throughout the book, because you said to me, what's the seeker? I don't know what's going on with the seeker, and I'm in my head like, what's a seeker? I don't remember what that is. And then you described to me what a seeker is, and I was like, oh, I know what a seeker is. It's not a seeker, it's the seeker.
The seeker.
And it's
which
just
seeks like only a seeker can.
Like only a seeker can.
And it's Red. Like, that's the thing. Like, this is a book that I think on reread will be wonderful, because it is the type of twist that is clearly telegraphed throughout the whole story.
Yes.
And then when you read it knowing that twist, completely changes your understanding of what's going on. Because the first time you read this book, the Seeker is kind of a sinister figure.
I think...
And you're like, I'm worried for these two who I am falling in... Like, as a reader, you fall in love with Red and Blue so easily. And so anything that potentially threatens them, you get really anxious about. But as soon as then you go and you read the chapter where we find out every time we saw that shadowy figure in the background who's been stalking these two throughout time and space, just time actually, but like it was Red the whole time, going back to save the pieces of Blue that Blue left behind. It turns it from something sinister into something beautiful, and I really want to reread it with that knowledge.
I think the more cerebral a time travel story is, the more obligated it is to make sure that the loop is tied up nicely. And This Is How You Lose the Time War does a great job tying its loop very nicely.
Yeah.
Basically, there are no loose ends that I can think of. Everything fits into place, and it all comes together in a really satisfying way.
Yes.
And I loved the ending. I was like a little bummed, but then I got to the ending and I was like, yay!
Yes, it's so good.
That said,
I gave it 5 stars when I read it. Again, 2 years ago. It's been a hot minute, but it's so good.
The other thing that I really, really need to pay compliments to, the prose is very good.
Yes.
Do not misunderstand me. The prose is excellent, but most of the letters are wonderful.
The letters
in
are
particular, as you start to see them falling in love, the way that they talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And it's romantic, but it's also like, again, these are like, in my mind, these are kind of like eldritch creatures that aren't really...
They're so out of touch with the normal human experience.
They're so not human that the love they have for each other, there's this purity to it.
It's like, it's transcendental almost.
The letters are just so good. I did not cry while reading this. Mm-hmm. I'm not much of a crier when reading, I have found. Mm-hmm. But I do get like chills if I read something that's like particularly effective.
Yeah.
And some of the language in those love letters was so good.
It's so good.
It's a wonderful book. If you like love stories, you will most likely enjoy it. If you like time travel stories, you will almost definitely enjoy it. And if you like both, you've probably already read it.
Yes.
So
the only thing I would say, which feels moot to say at this point, because if you haven't read it yet and you stayed, I told you not to do that. But like, I will say, it's not the most accessible book to a beginner.
Not at all. Again,
like,
I had to reread a lot of parts.
I would not recommend this to someone who has not read a lot of sci-fi. Explaining itself is not what this book is about, and if you're a new sci-fi reader, you might struggle with that. So if you have read this book and you're like trying to recommend it to people, keep in mind who you're recommending it to, and maybe don't recommend it to someone who hasn't read in a really long time, or hasn't read very much sci-fi, or who always has a hard time wrapping their head around time travel, because I don't think any of those make it... None of those things are flaws, but they are things that could be potential hurdles for a reader. Mm-hmm. So those are things to keep in mind.
Right.
That said, it's short enough that I think anybody who is willing to try and cut their teeth on it should definitely give it a shot.
It's less a matter of, oh, this is or isn't right for you, but it's more a matter of, are you in your sci-fi reading journey ready for...
Yes.
This is how you lose the time.
It's also nowhere near the most complicated sci-fi ever.
Not in the slightest.
This isn't a space opera. This isn't a Star War. Like, this is a very intimate look at two characters. Like, this is not the first sister. Like, you will be fine.
Yeah, for the most part, it's just the two characters.
Yeah.
I enjoyed both of the books you had me read so far.
I enjoyed the manga and the comic that you had me read so far.
Yay.
I have not started Chainsaw Man yet. Probably the next thing on my list that I will read is Color of Magic. Because I'm reading The Spear Cuts Through Water right now, and that's a long, complicated book. And it would be nice to read something really short afterwards. So that's probably what I'm going to hit next.
Honestly, if you're reading The Color of Magic, I might reread it with you.
That would be fun. What of my recommendations are you going to read next?
I am either going to read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, or Binti was also on your list, wasn't it?
Binti is on my list.
I'm thinking of doing one of those two.
Well, we have Binti, and for some reason Libby won't tell you when Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow comes back in, so let me know if you want me to bring it home from the library, otherwise...
We'll find out.
Thank you so much for watching this very thematically cohesive, clear wrap-up of 3 very similar stories. Hope you enjoyed that. If you want to watch the video where we recommend these to each other, that's linked in the cards and all that fun stuff. If you would like to show your support to us, you can click the buttons down there. Click the YouTube buttons. They do YouTube things like tell you when we upload a video, which, considering the consistency of our uploads, you definitely maybe want to know when we upload a video, because it certainly won't be on any normal time frame. But my name has been Taylor.
My name has been Steven.
And we are the Bookcases. Thank you for watching.
See y'all later.
Bye.
Do we have an outro now?
That has always been our outro. Click the YouTube buttons. They do YouTube things. Thank you so much for watching. That's been the outro the whole time. We have always had an outro.